Locker room with myself, Candace Lamb. We're going to talk about, of course, some football, some NFL football, the Dallas Cowboys, and if all is lost with their playoff hopes. Let's see. The Cowboys have now fallen to 6-6-1, trailing behind the Eagles in the NFC East. So while all is not lost as far as the Cowboys' slender playoffs hopes and their slender NFC champs hope, all is not lost. It still can be done, but the Eagles need to lose out probably at least 3 of their remaining games, and the Cowboys need to win out. They need to win every single game after this, which is not impossible, but they have to play a little bit differently than they did Thursday night against the Lions. If you've been under a rock and you missed it, the Cowboys lost to the Lions. The Lions defense, the Lions pass rush was amazing that game. They were getting to Dak like nothing. Like nothing. And Gibbs, their running back, Gibbs looked like, I can't even describe it. If he got the ball, basically he was scoring. I think he scored, 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys? Hi, Tyrone. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, JV. Sorry y'all have allergies going on, so that's why I sound a little different today. But we're here. We're talking about the Cowboys. And I just got done covering SMU versus Texas A&M football. SMU versus Texas A&M basketball game in Arlington. So that was exciting. So I got home and decided, hey, let's catch up on the Dallas Cowboys. Do we think that they can do it? Do we think that the Cowboys still can? And it really kind of depends on the Eagles. And the Eagles, as we've seen, things are starting to get messy with the Eagles. Let's talk about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb went out. At first, I thought it was his shoulder. I thought he'd fallen on his shoulder in that game. And it was a concussion, if you didn't know. That is the news on CeeDee. He's under concussion protocol. What is concussion protocol? Well, let's see. I took the liberty to look it up, and it's a very long 18-page document. This is the latest, 2024. But each player and each concussion is unique. This is what, the document says. But each player and each concussion is unique. Therefore, there is no set time frame for return to participation or for the progression through the steps of the graduated exertion program set forth below. Yada, yada, yada. Basically, here's what we want to know. When can CeeDee return? And is he okay? So far, the latest has been that CeeDee is feeling okay, but he has to go through the NFL's concussion protocol in order to be able to play the next game, which I believe is December 14th, right? Against the Vikings. Let's see. Yes, December 14th against the Vikings here in Dallas. Thank you. It's actually not a robe. It's a sweater. It's a nice little cute Nike sweater. So, sorry, we were talking about CeeDee and when can he return? What is concussion protocol? What does that mean? How long do they have to stay out? Well, it says here in the NFL's document that recovery time will vary from player to player. The decision to return a player to participation remains within the professional judgment of the head club physician or club physician designated for concussion evaluation and treatment performed in accordance with these protocols. Yada, yada, yada. So basically, it's up to, hi, Terry. Basically, it's up to the head club physician as to when CeeDee can return. But I only want him to return if he's okay. Yes, we want our best players out there, but we want them to be okay. That's a serious thing. And seeing that on Sunday was a bit scary. Thoughts on Candy, thoughts on Pickens post. Oh my goodness, I was going to get to that, but let's go ahead and jump right over to the Richard Sherman and George Pickens situation. So if you missed it, which I doubt it, there's been a lot going on. Where am I from? I'm from Galveston, Texas. I'm reading the comments as I go, but I am from Galveston. Shout out to the island, an island baby. Okay. Richard Sherman's comments. I had it pulled up here. All right. So, Richard Sherman, after the Detroit Lions game, had a very passionate response to George Pickens' performance. And this is what he said. The big story here is George Pickens. George Pickens, throughout the game, especially late in the game, just looked uninterested in playing football. And that's what you can't have. You're going to be a superstar. If you want to be the best receiver in the National Football League, you can never be disengaged. It doesn't matter if the game is going your way or not going your way. You can't just disappear in these games, or else you're not going to have an impact. And so then they're showing film, right? And they're showing film of George Pickens during the game, and Richard continues. And just right here, cruising routes. You're the guy. CeeDee Lamb is not in the game. He's out, and you get intercepted on your slant routes, and you can't be the guy and half it. I'm sorry. That's just unacceptable. And he continues, and if you're Dallas Cowboys and if you're Dallas Cowboys and you're looking at him and you're looking to pay him big time receiver money, $40 million, you're going to look at this tape and say, hey, is this a guy we can trust paying $40 million to show up regardless of circumstance? I don't know. So personally, I feel like Richard Sherman, this was like big brother advice. This should have been a phone call, not a full-on downright let's step on Pickens. He had a bad game. Because let's be honest, let's be clear. George Pickens came into the Dallas Cowboys and he's been standing on big business. He has been having a great game with the Dallas Cowboys. What I don't like is when we have these great athletes, we put them on the pedestal, and then they have an off game or something, and we just drag them down. And I do feel like this was dragging him down and throwing away all the good that he has done. Like, Richard Sherman, of course, is entitled to his opinions, but he didn't have to go that deep into it, especially the whole contract tag of $40 million, because we know how big of an impression media, social media has on football. And to put that out there, like, we already know that the contract talks have been coming up, but to put that out there saying based off of this one game, is George Pickens worth $40 million? I don't think that was fair. I don't think that was a fair assessment. And that was his opinion. But have we looked to see how George Pickens played previously? Like, how he usually runs versus how he was in this game. I don't know. Maybe that is just George Pickens' play style. I know, as a former athlete, let's say I'm in the outfield, left field particularly, because that was one of my positions, left field, running to a ball. If I'm unsure where that ball is going completely, I'm not running full on speed, because it is hard to stop dead in the middle of a full speed run and pivot the other way. When I watched George Pickens, he was running a bit laxy-daisy, but it felt like more of an assessment of the play. Like, I'm not going to run full speed, because if I have to pivot quickly, it's easier for me to, okay, jog here, essentially, or, jog here. And then if I have to pivot, I can pivot and go full speed. He's fast. He has the speed to do it. So I think so. I think it could have been one or the other. And I think it may have been a mix of things. You're a receiver, you're getting double teamed out there, and then CeeDee Lamb is out of the game now, so they're definitely looking his way. They were all over him and CeeDee all game. But taking CeeDee out of the game, when CeeDee left the game for a concussion protocol, they were definitely over um, they were definitely all over George Pickens. So that had to be frustrating. Not giving him an excuse, but just giving different perspectives. We can't always look at someone having an off game and say, "Oh, they can't play. They shouldn't have a $40 million contract." So what I think was, if Richard Sherman wanted to go more into detail, I think that he could have just left it as a little bit more surface, saying, I think that George Pickens can play better than that, and I think that this was an off game for him, and he should have said he personally felt like he didn't give it his effort. The rest of it, the contract talk and the half A in it, like, that could have been a text message or a phone call to him, like big bro to little bro, like, hey, this is how it looked to the outside, or to me. I'm not sure. Let me read a few of the comments. Last time in the Navy, first time on your channel. Thank you. Okay, so that was a rant on the George Pickens situation. Let's get into what George Pickens said. George Pickens, basically afterwards, he started it off with, for myself personally, you can't just disappear. And, he mentioned the defensive scheme of the Lions, which he wasn't wrong. Their defense was just on it. Their defense was foot on neck, crushing Dak, poor Dak, going after Pickens all over him. So it was a tough game offensively for the Cowboys. So I definitely can see it from Georgia's side as well. But I think a lot of you are talking about the comments where George said on his, I think it was his Instagram, don't quote me on that, but this is a team game. I'm not the only one on the team. Stop becoming an analyst and talking about one player when he's playing a team game. He later added, ain't without the Legion of Boom, etc., etc. The Instagram post wasn't as nice as the post-game conference. And here's how I feel. Could Pickens have said it a little nicer or not have said anything at all? Yes, absolutely. Do players get frustrated, and are they human? And do they just have to take backlash, public scrutiny from people and not say anything? No, unless that's in their player contracts. But Coach Schottenheimer did have a response, and he said, I'm aware of what was supposedly put out there. I've not talked to him yet. I understand it's been taken down, but I will be talking to him, just checking on him. Again, this is unfortunately things that we deal with in this profession. I have not spoken to him, but I will. I love that response from Coach Schottenheimer, because it's like an in-house thing. Like, yeah, I saw it. The alleged post. He's still protecting his players. He's still protecting the Dallas Cowboys. Like, bubble love. This is our players and coaches in here. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about things like that happen. But you guys don't necessarily need to know word for word what's going to be said or how exactly I feel about it. But yeah, I think that George Pickens, that was just an off game. Like, his close teammate left the game with a concussion. He's being double teamed all game. Dak is being sacked left and right. Well, I'm not going to say left and right, but pass rush was getting to Dak like it was nothing. They were all over George Pickens. That has to be frustrating, especially against a team that you didn't think would beat you like that. Cowboys got beat 44-30 by the Lions. That was an ugly game from start to finish, to be honest. So, yeah, I think he was a little discouraged, but also that could just be his play style, too. Only George Pickens knows that. What I would like to know is about Trevon Diggs, because our secondary, this game against the Lions was very underwhelming. Their performance was very underwhelming, and not saying that Trevon is going to come back and perform some sort of magic, but I am interested in how he will perform once he is back. The next chance he has to come back is against the Vikings. If he's cleared to play and put out there, I'm interested in seeing how he's going to fare against the Vikings. There's been a lot of controversy about Trevon Diggs. First, when Micah left, everyone thought that Trevon had just given up, didn't want to be with the Cowboys anymore. But here's what I think about Trevon Diggs. Same thing I thought about Dak. Everyone had given up on Dak Prescott, saying, oh, Dak is the reason the team isn't good. Dak this, Dak that. But then when the season started and Dak was showing out, that tune changed. I had been saying this, and not saying that I'm just right, but this was my opinion on it. I felt like I feel like the talent is there with Dak Prescott. So I just was not going to undercut who he is as an athlete and say, oh, he's not capable of getting the Cowboys to the playoffs. He's not capable of getting the Cowboys the NFC East championship this year. Based on his skill set and what I have seen before him, I didn't think that was just gone in the wind. I think that that's something Dak is still very much capable of. So same thing with Trevon Diggs. You don't have that much talent and it just goes out the window. Now, what I will say is Trevon has dealt with a lot of injuries. Matter of fact, let's look at all of the injuries he's dealt with. Most recently, a concussion of some sorts at home. We don't know what happened there, and I know they don't want to tell us, so that means it's not our business. All of the Trevon Diggs injuries. So let's see. In 2023, Trevon Diggs had a torn ACL on his left knee during practice, missed most of that season. 2024, he played 11 games. This is on Google, so if it's wrong, I'm just trying to pull it up really fast. Cartilage issue in the same left knee in 2024, requiring surgery. 2025 season, that's this season, injury week 7, concussion from an incident at home leading to an injured reserve stint and missed game. Injury week 6 through 7, a separate knee issue, not the ACL knee, so this must have been his right knee, adding to his physical challenges. Placed on injured reserve, eligible to return for the Thanksgiving game, ongoing rehab, and discussions about his commitment. That's what it says on here. Well, I think that you can't go from being, let's look at Trevon's. And yeah, people can fall off. Players can go from being, these greats to just absolutely not impressive at all. But my point is that you just don't lose that skill set that fast. But what I do believe can happen is you go through the injuries that Trevon has gone through, and you come back and you don't trust your body at all. When I saw him when he was playing this season, that's exactly what it looked like to me. I'm no expert. That is my opinion, and that's what I felt like. Him out there, it seemed like he was not trusting his body. On some of those plays where he was neck and neck with, sorry, he was neck and neck with his opponents, all of a sudden they would outrun him, or just like in a burst, or he would go up. Thank you. He would go up for something, for an interception and miss it, but it just was not the same as I've seen him in seasons past. I really feel like he was not trusting his body out there, and with good reason. You can rehab, you can practice, but there's nothing like getting out there in real time and getting in those games and trying it out. And who wouldn't be afraid after all those injuries? Torn ACL, same issue, and then same knee, surgery, and then now something was going on with his right knee. It's not the most in the NFL, but it's a lot to deal with. So, and I know I've been talking about this interview, but I did an interview with someone that's worked with Trevon. The interview, to be honest, the audio needed some work, and the visual needed some work. So I got into my editing bag, and I've edited the audio, the video, and I'm kind of just gonna go into detail about it with that person. They explain it better than I can on there, but hopefully for Trevon's sake and his future in the NFL, no matter what team it's on, that he can trust his body, that he will feel 100%. And if that's what the Cowboys this season, great. Any questions so far, y'all? We've talked about CeeDee returning. He has 10 days. No, I am tripping. That's the 7th. He has 7 more days till the Cowboys play. So a week from today, the Cowboys play the Minnesota Vikings. Hopefully he'll be back for that if he's feeling up to it. You know who we missed last game? Tyler. Oh my goodness. I know our backups do what they can, but it was just not enough for that game. So I'd say for next game, Chris says our O-line got whipped. Our O-line got... I was upset. Dak had no time. No time to get the ball out. And I wasn't even mad at the interceptions. So I'm like, dang it. But you know what? He had no choice. Hurry up and get rid of the ball. Like, throw it away, or just try to make something happen. Throw it if it's not a run play. Like, because they were getting to Dak in like minus seconds. We need better red zone execution. We need to protect the quarterback. And what are we gonna do? So this is what I thought needed to happen. Oh, our tackles, for good. These gator roll tackles gotta go. I mean, we were there. Our defense was there, but they were trying to gator roll tackle, and it just wasn't working. They were grabbing ankles, and they were gone. And that was not working. Let me tell you, that was not working on Gibbs. Gibbs had legs of steel last game. Gibbs was in that end zone every time almost. But what I was going to say is, for the next game, if CeeDee is out, we're going to have to lean a little bit more on our run game, which I'm glad that we have some insurance there now. We have Davis. We have You think we should keep Eberflus for continuity or change again? Hold on. Put a pin in it. 1 second. Okay. JV, our tackles. Sorry. Okay, we were on the defense. Who was I gonna? Oh, I'm sorry. We were on offense. Well, no, we were on defense. But I was gonna go into the offense. All right. If CD is out next game, we're gonna need to lean a little bit more on our run game. And Pickens, we know they're gonna double team him. But I think also Jake Ferguson, our tight ends. Jake Ferguson has had an amazing season. And last game, I kept saying like, the coverage that the Lions had, they were stacking up those guys in the back end. Excuse me, I'm learning my football terminology. Not perfect, don't claim to be, but I will be one day at this thing. But the coverage that the Lions defense had, they were all over our players every time. The only thing that would have been successful would have been, and they tried it near the end like twice, but slant routes up the middle to our tight ends, that was the execution that we needed. Those were the plays that kind of advanced the Cowboys a little more after CeeDee was out, George Pickens was being double teamed, and everything offensively just wasn't making sense. But that slant routes up the middle to our tight ends, that made a little bit more sense. So we may have to think of using our tight ends a little more. Let's see. Turpin. Did I like using Turpin how we did? I mean, his speed was a little bit effective on the edges, but against a defense like Detroit, they just were shutting us down. Ferguson leads the team on fumbling. Yes, but sorry, Ferguson. But if we're in a game like the last game, CD is out, right? George Pickens is being double teamed. Our run game isn't working as it should. And sorry, guys, I did not mean to I did not mean to leave the other tight ends out, okay? But I do still think the slant route up the middle, Chef's kiss play last game. But y'all made me lose my train of thought. Oh, if CD is out of the game, if Pickens is being double teamed, if Pickens is being double teamed. Sorry, I'm reading the comments as well. Okay, so what else are we supposed to do? I'm just saying that I feel like that was the most effective thing that we could have done at that point in the game. And not saying that's the only play, but that seemed to, if executed, would have been a better option. Spanford. Y'all, I'm not forgetting the other people. I promise. Okay, so let me ask y'all this. If we're in another situation against the Vikings, let's just say hypothetically, as we were against the Lions, what type of offensive schemes need to be run? Do we lean more on the receivers, the run game, tight ends? What? Someone says Fairweather and Fant should get playing time. Turpin is falling off. Maybe he's injured. You think so? What do y'all think about that? Okay, we covered Richard Sherman, CD, next game. Still think Daxon talks for MVP? Haven't seen Ferg break a tackle in years. I'm sorry, that's not funny, but y'all are on. What did Jay Ferguson do to y'all? Because y'all are on his case. Fergus has had a good season. Y'all can't take that from him. But y'all are on his case about these tackles. Chris says Dak is doing enough, but no explosive run plays, and defense is trash. Defense was very bad last game. But what could Dak do last game? Are you talking about last game, or are you just talking about this season? Because Dak could not do much last game. I mean, throwing into traffic, but at this point, I've accepted that's what Dak does. Dak is a risk taker. But I don't want him running the ball. After the injury, that injury that he had from running the ball, I don't want Dak running the ball if he doesn't have to do it. But throwing into traffic, that has just kind of been his thing that he can't be talked out of. He's a risk taker like that, I feel. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Chris Johnson says Ferg is Witten reincarnated. Sean says stop wasting Dak's career with soft defense. This stuff is sabotage. I mean, the defense had gotten better. The last game, they just retracted. Sean says Dak needs to start cussing people out because they just dare to collect the check. Nobody plays with hunger or love for the game. I can't say that they don't play for love of the game. But when the Cowboys are on, they're on. When they're not, they're not. I do hate that there's been games where Dak has been all the way on and the team has just kind of not been on the same note. And I think that's what Pickens was saying to Richard Sherman. You know, yeah, you can point out someone's flaws or faults in a game, but at the end of the day, it's a team game. You can't win it without team effort across the board. JV says Witten never fumble. Okay, JV, I have come to the conclusion that you're not a big Ferg fan. That's okay. Chris Johnson says, I think last game they all looked tired. 3-game stretch was extremely tough, and I was just watching the game, so I can only imagine what they're going through. But our guys will have had a 10-day break, so hopefully they're well rested. I know their bodies need this. So hopefully they could come out swinging and win the remaining of these games. And maybe the Eagles will surprise us and lose the rest of theirs. No, Matt Eberflus and these old linebackers need to be fired. Sean, sheesh, you're just going for the gusto. Detroit had the same schedule. Yep, but Detroit didn't play who we played. Wait, let me look at Detroit's schedule. I'm typing on my computer. Okay, so Detroit played, where are we? Okay, they had the Packers before us and the Giants. They played on the 16th, they played the Eagles. Then they played the Giants in overtime and the Packers. Okay, I'll let you have that point, JV. We need another running back to rotate with Williams more often. He's starting to look beat up. What about Davis? Chris, are you not liking Malik Davis as the backup running back? I think that's as good as we're going to get for this season right now. is the players that we have. I am proud of the Cowboys for making in-season moves and kind of giving us insurance in big positions. We acquired Quinnen Williams, needed that so bad. We acquired George Pickens, needed him. We acquired, well, we freed Elam to go otherwise elsewhere and moved up Malik Davis. So I am proud of the in-season moves, but the team just, it's like we're there, but not quite. We need another running back. Chris Johnson says, I don't know how much they like Davis because they only use him a few times. That is true. But also that depends on, I mean, I feel like we have to heavily lean on, we don't have to heavily lean on our run game. Maybe we should have a little more last game, but no, that still would have been to no avail. But I think you're right. They haven't used him much, but maybe using him much just doesn't fit into their run game. Like how, but that says a lot because when we had Zeke, and I just use this example because this was my like favorite duo at the time, but when we had Zeke and Tony Pollard, they used them, you know, sometimes both of them in the game at once because that fit into our run game. But you're right. But we're not leaning on our run game as much now. So is that because they don't favor Davis as much? That's some food for thought. Sean, be nice. Chris, who? Yeah, I would like to see Hunter more. Okay. Y'all are crazy. Oh my gosh, my phone is at 5%. So, last thoughts on the upcoming game. Yes or no, do you think the Cowboys can win out? And do you think the Eagles will possibly, with all their drama going on, lose a couple of games, help the Cowboys out, get up to the top of the NFC East? They are sitting at, what is their ranking right now? Not ranking. Okay, they're 8-4. We're 6-6-1. And everybody else is way far down there. Commanders, let's just talk about it. Commanders 3-10. Giants 2-11. Wait, plug your phone in, stay. No, because then I have to get up and go get it out of my computer bag. I really just don't feel like it. And my food. I've been on here 40 minutes now. My food that I got after the game is over there cold. I'm hungry. I saw your post on Twitter. Congrats on the shine in the college realm. Thank you so much. I hope to get into the professional sports realm, but baby steps, right? If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's Candy Lamb _. I believe that's my Twitter. Is that my Twitter, y'all? And my Instagram is, what is my Instagram? Okay, my Instagram is at Candace _Lamb _. And my Twitter is Candy Lamb _. So if y'all are on there, follow along. I post a lot of my college content on there, my Cowboys content, and yeah, I'll be covering SMU basketball this season, hopefully a few other things. So I'm going to try to be on here more often too. But thank you, Dice. Cowboys went out. Ninja says, we can, yes, but I don't like depending on others to get in. Yeah, but right now we have to depend on the Eagles to get in. I mean, I get your point. But if this was a Cowboys team that I thought, like, needed pity, which I don't think they do. I think they're capable of actually getting in the playoffs and doing some damage. But we just need 100%. They're just going to have to give it their all. Sean says Cowboys went out, Eagles, Bears, Buccaneers, and Panthers fall apart. Okay, Sean. JV, we need that is not nice, JV. Be nice to lose for our easiest route to the playoffs. Ninja says, I'm salty the Bears lost, especially to them. Guess Rogers had a point. JV, Ferguson is cooked though for real. Shoemaker shouldn't see the field. Well, JV, next time I get on here, I want you to have solutions and not a bunch of complaints. Okay, now I'm at 4%. So I'm going to log off. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Hopefully the Cowboys pull this off and they get through this. And we'll be talking about a playoffs run. In the meantime, I'm going to log off, eat my food, and watch something good on TV. And you should too. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to y'all next time. Now I have to awkwardly log off and wait for it to end.